paths of glory taken by ambitious means. The French army shows institutions failing the people. Oh yes, the very people made meaningless fight over the pimple. Ocelonce's stars require men obey, willing to shoot his troops in his way. The chain of command protecting top brass, to fight over land, no justice at last. 3 court-martialed for acting cowardly. Firing squad shows what human life means. Hello, my name is Lucas, this is Bit, and I'm here to talk about Paths of Glory by Humphrey Cobb, which is an excellent anti-authority, anti-war novel, which was also created in 1957 into a movie that is also excellent by Stanley Kubrick. If you like these kind of videos where I leave a little bit of poetry at the beginning, please let me know. Like it, share it with your friends, subscribe to my channel, and leave a comment. Let me know what you think of the poem. Let me know what you think of my thoughts. Let me know what you think of the book. Have you seen the book? Have you read the book? Have you seen the movie? Let me know. The Stanley Kubrick film is phenomenal. I think it's better, but it is quite different from this book. And I'm going to focus on the book, not talk too much about the movie, though in the movie we have a hero to root for, Colonel Dax, played by Kirk Douglas, who does a fantastic job. But there are some key scenes that are missing from the movie that are not that are in the movie that are not in the book, namely the moment at the end where the French soldiers are cheering the young German woman singing, and ultimately they start singing along with her in empathy, and Colonel Dax gives him a few more minutes. Also, he is not the sort of lawyer in the court-martial scene. That is Captain Etienne, but those are some major differences. There's some other ones too, some minor ones. Overall, I would say that it's okay in terms of the writing. It's a lot of talking heads and it's sort of polemical. I don't mind that too much because I think the drama and the point of what Humphrey Cobb is trying to get across is so effective and so sort of detailed in how it's criticizing sort of chain of command, institutions that surround military life in World War I, particularly something that he would have a great understanding of because he was an active participant as a soldier for the British through Canadian forces, though he was an American. He chose the French for specific reasons. There were some similar things that had happened as to what relates to this particular story. How about I just tell you now? Overall, I think it is a great book, and it is something that, if you're really into anti-war media or anti-authority media, definitely give it a chance. 3 men are chosen to be examples made to the rest of 181st crew. I forgot the term now, so sorry. Because General Ocelonce is looking to rise up through the ranks, and he has no real understanding of what it takes to take this sort of fortress that is impenetrable for the French forces at the time. He does, at the beginning, resist this command that is coming up from up top and was in the communique, which he doesn't read, and he gets frustrated that now his orders are coming in through the communique. I hope I'm saying that right. Anyway, he eventually decides that actually it would be very advantageous to take the pimple, this sort of fortress. And so he puts it upon 181st and Colonel Dax and his men. I'm going to forget the titles that they have. I think Lieutenant Roger and a bunch of other captains and other sergeants and stuff, to try and take it the next day, because he really wants to look good. And he's very ambitious. Of course, this is a suicide mission. And when the attack is made, well, let me stop myself. Before the attack is made, Roger and Private Didier and Lejeune go on a reconnaissance mission to scope things out. And Roger ends up accidentally killing Lejeune in his own cowardice, which he will cover up as well as he can against Didier. He tries to cover it up in a report after he runs away, saying that Lejeune and Didier died. When Didier comes back, he's sort of shocked and needs to find a way to keep him under control. When this attack on the Pimple goes off, it fails miserably because there's no way for this troop of men to make it through. And General Ocelance gets really upset about that. He's often called General Insolent, which I think is really funny. This guy, he sort of sees the conditions that they're in, and he doesn't know how to act. He doesn't understand because he doesn't have any real experience, because the military apparatus of the time, because of World War I being so much bigger than with modern warfare growing into fruition, it's grown so big that there are going to be leaders who have no connection to others, which is a big problem when you have people at the top who have no way to really connect with the people at the bottom, and understand them and their concerns, and, just senselessly send them into a barbaric meat grinder. This book really shows through the choices of not just General Ocelance, but even Colonel Dax, who sort of equivocates a lot of things, and plays middle manager, is not as much of a hero. He's not really a villain here, don't get me wrong, but we see through choices made and choices not made, the diminishing value of human life in this novel. And that comes especially from the ambitions of what's in the communique, of the state, of the military apparatus, and the religious institution as well. All three of these institutions, the religious institution is sort of intertwined with the state and the military apparatus, because the priest that we see is, in fact, a captain in the military. Anyway, this attack fails, and Ocelance wants to send a message because he's very upset that this did not pan out the way that he had hoped. And Dax and some others help bring it down to one person per unit, essentially. And these people are chosen in their own ways. I mean, Ocelance has shown a lot of cowardice in the way he's interacted with the people that he's dealing with, and not to mention in this attack, because nobody is advancing, because it's just a meat grinder of death, he has tried to order his own troops his own artillery to shoot at his own troops so that they will move forward into certain death, into no man's land, so that he can get his just rewards, I guess, if you want to call it that. So anyway, his arrogant ambitious goals. 3 men are chosen. 1 man is chosen out of 2 men by one leader. they're two of the best soldiers in this unit, but this captain decides that good or bad, pretty much everyone dies here. So it doesn't really matter, and we can really send a message this way. Both of these men have really bad rap sheets. This particular one has an even worse one. However, he is Jewish, and I don't really want to have calls of anti-Semitism thrown against me. So he chooses the other guy instead of the Jewish guy because he's afraid of attacks of anti-Semitism levied his way. There's actually a fourth person that's supposed to be picked, but the captain in charge of this decides not to opt out, which he knows will cause him problems. Opt out just long enough. I'm going to go off for a while, just long enough to not have to make a choice before the court-martialing, which quite a few people want to deal with by punishing him in his own way. However, he has connections at GHQ, General Headquarters, so we can't punish someone like that because then the top brass is going to squirm in their choices, and we don't want any struggle for ourselves. Another guy is chosen by just random luck, a draw, and it causes problems because the numbers are unclear, so they have to do a redraw, and this guy, unfortunately, his number is up. He gets the wrong number, which causes a lot of people frustration, him especially. He writes a really moving letter to his wife about the injustices that he faces because, again, like I said, this book is all about the dehumanization of institutions against people and chain of command and these choices and lack of choices, I suppose, that lead to the diminishing value of human life. And it's really one of the saddest books I've read, and heartbreaking. And another guy is chosen, that's Didier, who happens to know a lot about, I believe it's Lieutenant Roger, has done. And so Roger chooses him to save himself, another act of cowardice. And they have a sham of a trial. The judges don't really want to hear anything. They're just looking to find the answers that they seek to make sure. I mean, the questions they ask are ridiculous. They don't want to see any evidence. They don't want to know anything about their career or their character. They just want to hear that, yes, I did turn back. No, I didn't advance. These kind of things. As soon as they hear that, they have their conviction. There's also other ways that it's a sham, and it shows how the state, not just the military apparatus, has failed because there were a lot of people not wanting to fight because of this horrible war where everyone is dying meaninglessly because their lives, they're just pawns in a sick, twisted game. People were abandoning, and they had to get rid of this rule for these kind of court-martials where there'd be a stenographer writing everything down. And that was a decision made by the state to show once again these things are working together, and they are, in fact, sort of the gods for these men. Because we do see a priest try to calm these men and give them some solace and peace. It doesn't really work. And, even the priest who should have God on his side, by his back, can do nothing for these men. And just like military apparatus and the state utterly fails them. And in my opinion, this is where I sort of get the idea that the new gods are here, and they are the institutions that control our lives and make choices that dehumanize people and devalue their life and this kind of thing. I think that's what this book is getting across. It's very bleak. Anyway, the court-martial decides, all three decide that they are guilty, and a 2-to-1 vote decides that they should be executed by firing squad. And yeah, it's just a really powerful piece of writing that I think is still relevant to this day. Certainly with modern warfare being rampant, especially for Americans, but it doesn't have to be a military apparatus. It can be any other form of institution. It could still be a religious institution, or governmental institutions, or what have you, educational institutions. I think it's really challenging these and their authority, showing how devaluing they can be for humanity. I think it's a great book, so I recommend you check it out. That's all I've got to say. Thank you.